right now, and this is being recorded since Facebook Live was being a little bit delayed. It is my pleasure to introduce Honorary State Regent Kathy Ocasio, who is going to be presenting to us the new DAR Museum Holiday Program. Ms. Kathy.
Thank you, Candy. Give me just a second here. I'll get my screen up. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So the collection and preservation of objects was an original component of the DAR vision when the society was founded in 1890. Today, the museum looks at the American experience through the objects and art of the American home from the colonial period to the 20th century. As the only decorative arts museum in Washington, D.C., the DAR Museum collects and displays furniture, paintings, ceramics, textiles, costumes, metals, and other objects that reflect the human experience. We support the DAR's goals of historic preservation, education, and patriotism by preserving and interpreting the material culture and social history of pre-industrial America. Today's presentation, Songs of Christmas Past, explores how Christmas traditions in colonial and early America changed over time from the late 18th century through the early 20th century. This tour focuses on 4 to 5 period rooms that were decorated and paired with a popular Christmas song that was written during that decade. These period rooms were decorated by the DAR Museum to show what those homes would look like during the Christmas season. Now, I will just give you a heads up. We're going to bounce around a little bit from decade to decade. This is a rather long program, and so I have abbreviated it for today so that it's not too long that people get tired of it. So just wanted to, let you know that I will be bouncing around a little bit. The first popular Christmas song we will discuss is God Rest You Merry Gentlemen, which was first seen in print around 1700. This print from the British Library was printed circa 1700, while today it is more popularly sung as God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen. That is not how it was written. Grammatically, you is correct here. If we consider what was happening in colonial America in the 1700s, specifically the 1770s, there was unrest, violence, and fear. So the song was rather fitting for the times, as Rest You Merry was a way to wish someone peace and happiness, something desperately needed in colonial America leading up to and during the American Revolution. And those are the years represented in the Massachusetts period room. However, while it is common to wish someone a Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays today, the family that lived in this home may not have wished each other that. In the 1770s, many groups did not observe the holiday at all, and most celebrations looked very different from each other. Some spent the day in pious devotion, and others celebrated more openly with excess food, drink, and noise. In colonial America, these groups commonly celebrated Christmas. German Reformed, Welsh Baptists, Scots-Irish Presbyterians, Lutherans, Catholics, and Anglicans. These groups generally did not. Quakers, Puritans, Separatists, Baptists, and any non-Christian colonists. Elizabeth Drinker was a Quaker woman living in Philadelphia in the 18th century. On December 25th, 1795, she wrote in her diary, "Called Christmas Day, many attend religiously to this day. Others spend it in riot and dissipation. We Quakers as a people make no more account of it than any other day." So Christmas looked very different in each colonial household, but one aspect that was more common during this time of year Food. Winter was a rest in the agricultural calendar, and many colonists used this time of year to make special foods and feasts, as seen in the Massachusetts period room. The reproduction food items on the table would have been seen on a table in a Massachusetts home. There are pies, roasts, and jelly glasses full of syllabub. This jelly glass made of clear, blown lead glass. These glasses were used at the end of a meal to serve jellies, custards, and other sugary confections, including syllabub. Syllabub is a sugary alcoholic beverage. We actually have a recipe in our collection, courtesy of Hannah Bloomfield from New Jersey. We know that this is a special occasion treat because it uses quite a bit of sugar, which was expensive at the time. After the Revolution, the new United States did not celebrate as many holidays as European countries, and many of the holidays celebrated in Great Britain were no longer celebrated in the United States. There was no clear list of federal and national holidays, largely because of the multiculturalism of the states. Like we talked about before, many groups did not celebrate Christmas, while others had strong Christmas traditions. One such demographic was German immigrants. Let's move forward to the 1820s and another well-known Christmas song, Der Tannenbaum. However, the original German version, first seen in 1824, does not actually mention Christmas. This translation of Der Tannenbaum is the fir tree, and over the years, the English lyrics have changed from the literal translation to better fit the song's melody. The tradition of having a Christmas tree in your home comes from the region of modern-day Germany. While many churches decorated with greenery during this period, you would only really see a Christmas tree in a German family's home. This image, drawn by a German American in 1812, is the first known image of a Christmas tree in an American home. But it is not necessarily the traditional Christmas tree that we see today. It is much smaller. These trees were placed on a table and decorated with cookies, fruit, and toys. Families often surrounded the tree with a small fence. And before the popcorn chain became a popular decor piece, families would make cookies to decorate. The museum used a reproduction mold and clay to make these ornaments. They're about 1 inch by 1.5 inches. Here is a pastry or cookie mold that could have been used for eating or decorating. It dates from 1800 to 1840 and includes molds of all shapes and sizes. The entire mold is 13.25 by 15.5, and the larger mold measures 11.25 inches in diameter, and the smaller image with the man and woman measures 6 inches in diameter. I don't know how many of you might have seen the program that Honorary State Regent Judy Eckler does on German cookies, and she has lots of molds and things like these. It's a wonderful program. Here is a recipe from a Swiss book for these cookies called Springerle. Some of the most important inclusions to the recipe include anise for flavor and flour to make the cookies appear very white. Okay, now we're going to go to the 1850s. As we see and hear in quite a few Christmas songs, many aren't about Christmas at all. One of the most popular and well-known Jingle Bells. The lyrics detail spending time on a sleigh ride across the wintry landscape. James Lord Pierpoint composed the song, and it was published in 1857. But it was originally called One Horse Open Sleigh. And a fun fact, Jingle Bells was the first song broadcast in space by the Gemini 6 crew in 1965. The California Period Room, showing an 1850s parlor, is based on a whaling station in Monterey, California. While Monterey does not see a lot of snow on the ground, those living in this house would still belt out the lyrics to Jingle Bells. Many of the traditions from the 1850s holiday celebrations may look different from modern day traditions. The Christmas season in the 1850s often included guns, alcohol, and other similar revelries. Many celebrations included noise and disturbing the neighbors. An 1852 diary entry recalled, San Bernardino, California, sounded like a battlefield. The boys are celebrating Christmas. By the 1850s, smaller Christmas trees were seen in the homes of many German immigrant households. However, a popular publication promoted the first representation of a decorated fir tree. Godey's Lady's Book published the image in 1850, but it was originally published in London in the 1840s. In the image, Queen Victoria stands around a Christmas tree with the royal family. So it makes sense that a small fir tree would be found throughout more American homes. These small fir trees were often located in the front parlors of the home. Another popular tradition that we see, the stockings. Hanging stockings on or by the fireplace was already a common practice, and it was popularized by the poem, A Visit from St. Nicholas, more commonly known as The Night Before Christmas. Rather than being specially made for Christmas, these stockings are also what the children wear on a daily basis. And now we're heading to the 1910s. Very few songs have been sung quite as frequently by such a variety of artists as the 12 Days of Christmas. The words of the song date from the 1700s, and the earliest printed version of the song appeared in 1780. The song itself is part of the Old English folk tradition of counting songs. However, the lyrics look a little different than what we commonly sing today. The tune was completed in 1909. We have the original version here alongside the more popular version that we see today. And so there are some minor differences. The early 1900s saw a major rise in commercialization and new Christmas traditions. Celebrations began to extend beyond a single household. Towns began to erect Christmas trees in public spaces, and stores placed more prominent and frequent advertisements for gifts. Gift giving was now an important and consistent part of the holiday season. Gifts ranged from cheaper novelties to pre-assembled gifts where the gift giver could provide a more personal touch. The New Jersey room is decorated for a holiday feast. There are fir garlands hanging throughout the room, one of the oldest and widely accepted traditions in the American household. Around the room, there are also gifts symbolizing the 12 days. You can see some as you look in the room. There's a partridge in a pear tree represented by the pear paper weight. Turtle doves are represented on a piece of needlework there for the second day. Day 3 is a quilt with a representation of a hen. Day 4. Oh, did I miss day 4? Yeah, there's day 4. Collie birds on a sampler. Day 5, gold rings. Day 6, 6 geese a laying represented by the basket of eggs. And day 7, swans a swimming are represented by the teapot. Day 8, maids a milking is represented by a butter churn. Day 9, ladies dancing is represented by a pair of shoes from the 1915 to 1920 time period. Day 10, lords a leaping is represented by an acrobat toy from the early 1900s. The 11th day, pipers piping is represented by a flute. And day 12, drummers drumming is represented by the drum. And now we're going to the 1930s. Santa Claus is Coming to Town highlights the job and tasks of one of the most well-known figures during the holiday season, Santa Claus. The song was written by J. Fred Coots and Haven Gillespie and was made popular by Eddie Cantor, who recorded the song in 1934. Eddie Cantor also held a prominent place in that year's Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. His likeness paraded through Manhattan as a balloon. Another fun fact, 1934 was also the first time viewers saw Mickey Mouse in the parade. The physical representation of Santa Claus has evolved over the years. Santa Claus made a strong appearance in the poem A Visit from St. Nicholas, more commonly known today as The Night Before Christmas. Santa has changed from a Germanic elven figure to a tall figure with flowing robes. Thomas Nast is credited for providing the first visual, more modern representation of Santa during the American Civil War. Both images were published in the 1862 Christmas edition of Harper's Weekly, and both were used as a form of propaganda. In the image on the left, there is the central scene with a soldier and his wife, in separate places but thinking of each other. In the left corner, you can see Nast's representation of Santa. He combined the St. Nicholas figure seen in German European traditions and images of elves to create this modern figure. I think I turned the page too soon. Nast kept the realities of the present central to the drawing. Union soldiers spending the winter away from their families during the American Civil War. As we look at the Indiana period room depicting a 1930s parlor, we can see many more modern touches, including a large Christmas tree and electric lights. We can also see that Santa already visited and the children opened their presents. Some of the gifts include this large writing toy that became popular by the early 1900s. It is complete with a leather saddle, red writing blanket, and wheels. The lithographic print on the facade of this dollhouse contains a stone and brick design similar to that of real houses from the early 20th century. The use of lithographic prints made it easy and more affordable to market dollhouses to a wider audience. Thank you for attending and participating in this Songs of Christmas Past program. I'm hoping our chapters will do some programs next year and pick up the decades that we didn't include today. And hopefully this gave some nice historical information about some of the songs and the transition of Christmas from decade to decade in America. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kathy. I know it's kind of fun hearing these museum programs, and for those of us who've been to DC, seeing the connection to the rooms and even how the rooms change from time period to time period of the
Yes.
year as well. I know that's been kind of the interesting thing, that even during my fall visit, seeing just some of the slight changes, because they actually had some rooms a little Halloween themed with hidden ghosts as well. So
Absolutely.
I was going to check with you. Are there any other new programs for DAR Museum other than this holiday one that has been updated?
Yes, there's one other new one. It's on dining in early America. So a lot of talk about foods and meals that were prepared in colonial America. So that's another good one.
Oh, awesome. So, and I know we have a few people popping on. I was going to apologize during Kathy's presentation. I was having some internet issues. So that's why you see two Candace Canes, because I have my iPad on standby just in case if this goes down a little bit. Does anyone have any questions for Kathy or wants to comment on maybe their favorite holiday song? And then we can go ahead and play a round of Jeopardy, and then I'll stop the record and we can have some fun time too for those of us who are just here for that as well. So anyone have any questions on the holiday songs? It was fun to see the different name changes of a couple of them. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I thought so too. And also how they changed some of the lyrics in the songs to fit the current time. So